This is The Recap, a weekly reflection on the sermons of Fellowship Baptist Church in Mainville, Ohio, seeking to help you make Jesus essential in every aspect of your life. I'm your host this week, Brent Wilson, with the preacher of this week's sermon, Nathan Mabry. Nathan, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
Good to have you back. It's been a minute.
New set.
When's the last time you preached? Was it sometime this year? Can't remember. Did you preach this year? Another time?
I feel like I did.
I feel like so. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and look. Well, either way, we're here, and let's get you settled into the saddle and break the ice. I talked a little bit about Christmas yesterday, and took a poll about when people are going to set up for Christmas. So my question for you is, what is your most controversial Christmas opinion? Could be anything about Christmas. Could be food. Could be decorations, movies, anything else. What's a hot take you have about Christmas? What you got?
Wow.
I mean, while you're thinking, I'll throw out some of mine. I think eggnog's terrible. No one should drink it. I think Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I think the Jim Carrey The Grinch movie is the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
The greatest Christmas movie of all time?
Yeah, it's the best. Timeless. So good.
No, it's got to be more classic than that. I mean,
more classic.
Yeah, like you need to go back to almost black and white.
Oh, wow.
I mean, It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life is the best Christmas movie. That's true. But The Grinch is just so funny.
Yeah. I don't know that I have any really hot takes. I do love eggnog. Only UDF. I love UDF eggnog.
UDF, okay.
And it's actually something that my family loves. And my brother in particular, we will take probably 4 gallons of eggnog to North Carolina when we go for Thanksgiving, and he'll freeze it and then break it out.
I'll be honest, I don't know what eggnog is. Just by the word that has egg in it, I'm like, I ain't drinking eggs.
You don't like eggs?
I don't even know. Well, yeah, but I like them cooked.
Well, they're not raw.
I just don't even know what it is.
I guess they've got to be heated at some point in time.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know.
So,
no Christmas hot takes?
No, I mean, I am in the poll. I'm definitely landing on after Thanksgiving is when you can start your Christmas music.
Christmas music, okay. Yeah. And decorating after Thanksgiving?
I don't really care about decorating.
Okay. I'm such a man.
I'm not Clark Griswold out on my house or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not my thing.
Not your thing. But inside, what about inside?
I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I know you don't do it.
I fully support any decorating.
Whenever she wants to do it?
That's right.
Okay. You don't care.
And whenever. It doesn't matter. Okay. Like if she wants to decorate for Christmas in July.
Yeah. But you're not listening to Christmas music till after Thanksgiving. What about on Thanksgiving?
What's interesting is I actually do listen to Christmas music ahead of Thanksgiving. But that's particularly
for your job?
Occupational. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I want to know what new arrangements, new songs that are out there because I'm thinking about what we might use or implement.
Yeah. Okay.
But it is less for enjoyment and more for critique.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this then. What is your all-time favorite Christmas song?
I mean, it's probably Labor of Love.
Oh, man. That's a good one. Andrew Peterson.
Yeah. I mean, the whole album, which doesn't feel like a Christmas album at all.
It is in my heart.
Yeah. Until you get to a few of the songs on there. But Labor of Love.
That's good. Okay. No, I respect that. All right. Well, let's jump in to, I noticed you, and I was thankful for this because I can't say this word at all. I noticed you struggled a little bit saying it one time in particular.
One time I stumbled. Yes.
I thought Heather, who read, did a great job.
Fantastic.
She said it very well. But Mephibosheth. You just got to say it fast.
Mephibosheth.
When I say it fast, I mess it up. I got to look at it and sound it out. But so we're talking about Mr. M.
Yeah. I did watch one pastor. He was talking about doing the sermon, and he on Mephibosheth, and he said it was going to be a hard name. He's like, I was trying to think of a short name for him, and he's like, I thought about Meph, But I didn't want to say that David had a meth problem. He said I didn't think that would go over well.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really
Phoebe. Yeah.
I couldn't come up with a short name. So
Now,
Mephibosheth.
this I was telling Ryan about this. Ziegler, is that the other guy?
Ziklag.
Ziglag?
Oh no, Zeba.
Zeba.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I could only hear Zeba in like a Trump voice. You know, Zeba. You know, like that's when you said it. I was like, that's how I heard it.
Which is interesting. So I didn't know how to pronounce all the names either.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the ESV on the Bible app, they call him Ziba.
Oh.
Actually, I will say I did text Heather in advance that I asking if she would read, and she just came back, sure. And she had not actually gone to read the passage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, let me give you a heads up. And I actually did send her a voice memo of how I was intending to pronounce the names.
That was gracious of
so
you.
that we were on the same page. I'm like, just so you know, this is how I'm going to pronounce them. And it'd be great if we just stayed together.
Yeah. That was very gracious of you.
So
speaking of grace,
yeah.
Talk about grace in the story. What was it about this story of Mephibosheth that first caught your attention? Because you said in the sermon how you claimed this. I said, hey, do you want to preach in this series? You're like, yes, but I want this one. What was it about this story, just before you even began to study on it, that was just drew you to it?
Yeah. So I do remember probably the first time I heard the story.
Okay.
And it was in my home church,
in Georgia?
Not back in Georgia,
Okay.
in Northern Kentucky.
Okay.
In my fundamentalist upbringing, the music pastor, surprisingly in this case, got to preach on a Sunday night. This is when we used to have both Sunday morning and Sunday night preaching services.
Yeah.
And he taught on Mephibosheth. And I remember, I just have vague memories about that, particularly how he made this comparison between Mephibosheth and us. And I just remember this line that he was wounded by a fall. And that has stuck with me ever since. Just thinking about how the fall has impacted, really how this story, tucked away in the midst of other historical narratives, that there's nothing that Mephibosheth relies on before and after this one chapter stuck in there. But it's such a beautiful picture of the gospel and how we can identify with Mephibosheth and how we come needing mercy, getting grace. And so just a beautiful picture. So it's been in my mind for a long time.
Okay. Well, this is the first time I've heard it preached on, and also by a music minister. So
There you go.
Okay, so first we talked about the king's kindness. You talked about this idea of dynastic purging, which I kind of knew that concept, never heard that term before, so that was interesting. Any idea at this point, was Mephibosheth, was he the only one left, or were there any other of Saul's bloodline still alive?
It's the only one mentioned, right? So we don't know if Ishbosheth had children. We don't know if Jonathan had other children. Which is interesting because David was such good friends with Jonathan. Like we've covered that, which is why I kind of give this thought that maybe David had known Jonathan's son at some point in time. You would wonder why David hadn't just come and asked, like, hey, whatever happened to Mephibosheth, or other sons Jonathan might have had, and daughters. I mean, it could have been any one of Saul's family.
Now, in the dynastic purging, would they have also killed the daughters?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because not in this particular
age or whatever.
Yeah, in this culture of this time, like we don't have any queens rising up in much of this case.
Yeah.
But definitely off to kill the most immediate of potential threats.
Okay. Just as a side note, you're talking about the relationship between Jonathan and David, and I thought it was interesting thinking about the memories that David would have of him. So I'm watching the Life of David TV show.
Yeah.
Are you watching it at all?
No, I haven't.
So season 2 just started, and David and Jonathan's relationship starting to really grow, and so it just gave me another level I don't know, just like I could feel it differently because I've kind of seen that on the TV, that relationship, and so I was like, oh man, I can really picture that what you were saying. So why is it that David doesn't feel the need, do you think, to go and kill any of Saul's bloodline that's left, even outside of the grace he's about to show? Like, why doesn't he feel the need to kill him and anybody else?
Well, I think for one, David wants to be a man of his word, and Saul, in particular, in one of those cases, I don't know if it was the case of when he cut the robe off.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
or when he took the spear.
I think it's the robe
in the jar, but Saul presents to him like, "Hey, thank you for saving my life," and he asks, and he said, "Surely your kingdom will." He recognizes that David's kingdom is going to persist, and he asks to be preserved. And David, promises to Saul he's not going to take out his bloodline.
Yeah, I do remember that. You're right.
And so David's actually, and I didn't bring that out, but David is a man of his word in this case. Like this is not a new idea for David that he would not go purge the line of Saul, particularly because he had promised to preserve instead.
Yeah, that's good. Do you also think then that David's rise to the throne is intentional, like I guess on God's part, that his rise would not be through bloodshed of his own hand, right? Like the other nations would be, right? The other nations like, hey, someone's usurping the throne, right? Do you think it's intentional on God's part that that's not the way David ascends to the throne? There's like a cleaner transition?
I think absolutely. And in particular, these two cases that we talk about where David has the opportunity to take Saul's life and all his buddies standing around him like, look, the Lord is giving you into his hands. And he says,
no, we ain't.
not me. I mean, he had such high reverence and respect for the words he used, the Lord's anointed.
Yeah.
So Saul was, and he's ready for the Lord to do whatever he wishes to do in taking Saul's life, potentially.
Yeah.
But David would not be an instrument in that.
Yeah.
And so it's very important, the respect that he has there. And in fact, I mean, like, he has the respect for Saul's son, who eventually does become king. We don't talk about for a short amount of time, for approximately 2 years, Ishbosheth.
Oh, I didn't realize it was for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the timeline that I kind of understand is that David becomes the king of the house of Judah pretty immediately following Saul's death. And Ishbosheth becomes king of Israel. And so we find out later when the kings kind of, that there is this divided kingdom, right? After Solomon, there's now the divided kingdom between Judah and Israel.
Yeah.
It's like, apparently the kingdom was divided for a few years under
foreshadowing
David.
that.
Yeah, David and Ishbosheth. And then when Ishbosheth dies, is murdered, David becomes king over all of Israel and goes on all these conquests. And historically, it is what I understood in looking it up is that the scene with Mephibosheth is probably between 18 to 20, 21.
Okay.
So this is now like 15 years or so after Saul's death. So Ishbosheth was king of Israel for 2 years, and now David's been king for maybe another 12 to 15 years before Mephibosheth's scenario. So he's probably around 20 years old when he comes before the king.
Gotcha.
Having been lame for 15 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's an interesting. Let's talk about the transition of power a little bit. So you've got these two guys that are going to kill Ish, and it's funny in the show they just call him Ish.
Ish. And I think sometimes in the Bible it's Ish-Bosheth.
Yeah.
I forget that. So you got Ish-Bosheth and Mephibosheth.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and I think the name Mephibosheth, it has something to do with shame, like.
Okay.
And so maybe that Bosheth is I have to look up the etymology there.
Yeah,
but
that's interesting.
Their names do seem to be related, and they're both in the line of Saul.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if there was other Bosheths.
Huh.
Both Cephuses. I don't know.
That's what I want to call them.
I know.
Okay, so because it's interesting, you got these two situations, right?
Yeah.
You got the guy who doesn't kill Saul, but like claims he kills him, and
Yeah.
then David's like, "That's not how we roll."
Yeah, we end 1 Samuel with Saul dying.
Mhm.
And in fact, Saul does call out to this guy, like, hey, he sees the battle before him he's going to lose.
Mhm.
And he's like, he doesn't want to fall into the enemy's hands. And so he looks at this guy and like, hey, come take my life. And
Yeah.
he's like, no way, not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so the story, the chronicler who writes Samuel for us, the 1st and 2nd Samuel, shows that Saul falls on his own sword
Mhm.
and takes his life. That doesn't stop either that guy or another guy from taking Saul's crown and armlet, is what it says. And we open 2 Samuel with him coming to David and be like, hey, he actually recounts the story very much the same way, but with an alternative ending.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the king said to me, hey, come take my life. And so I did. I came and I took him down.
Yeah.
And I finished him off. And David's like, you took your sword against the Lord's anointed? And there's his reverence again for this man. And he sends him out and has him killed. We don't believe that he actually did take Saul's life, but he's going to claim he did.
Mm-hmm.
And David says, take him out and have him executed.
Mm-hmm.
Then Ishbosheth comes and is raised into power as Saul's son over Israel. And interesting, this is in 2 Samuel 3 and 4, in 4, right after we learn about Mephibosheth falling and fleeing to the hills. These two.
So just clarity on that. Mephibosheth wasn't born crippled.
Correct. Yeah.
So he falls, breaks his ankle, basically.
Yeah.
But breaks both of them?
It says he was crippled in his feet, plural.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's like there's no orthopedic surgeons.
Right.
So probably whatever injury he sustained, if he were to sustain that injury today, modern medicine might be able to help.
For sure.
But it's interesting. It says that he's lame in his feet. Then it says, like if you look at it's 2 Samuel 4:4, and it says he's lame in his feet, but then recounts the story about how he became lame in his feet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in there twice. Introduces him as lame, but then almost tells us, and here's how that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And
then the story ends reminding you that he's lame in his feet.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. So it's definitely an earmark.
You think 1 foot or 2 foot?
I think it's both.
Okay. Interesting.
So, and I don't know how he gets around. I don't know about crutches.
Yeah.
If people are carrying him everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
But he's helpless.
Yeah.
So Ishbosheth becomes king.
Mm-hmm.
And these two brothers, interesting, also from the tribe of Benjamin, which is kind of
Saul's tribe.
ironic, to think of that. It says, it's actually a fun little story in 2 Samuel chapter 4, because it just reminds me, got to be careful about taking a nap.
Oh, yeah.
And I love a good nap. Now, the sons of Rimmon, this is verse 5, the Beerothite, Rechab and Bana, there's more names, great, set out about the heat of the day and came to the house of Ishbosheth as he was taking his noonday rest. And they came into the midst of the house as if to get wheat, and they stabbed him in the stomach. And these brothers, it says, they escaped, and when they came to the house, he lay on his bed in his bedroom, and they struck him and put him to death and beheaded him. And they took his head, and they take his head, and they run away, and they flee through the back roads and make it to where David is, and says, hey, King David, look what we got for you. And oh man, actually, the story gets better, actually, because of what David says in this case, because he references, like, hey, don't you know what happened to the last guy?
Yeah.
He does. It's so, I just love this story. They come to the king. Here is the head of Ishbosheth, and it is hyphenated here in the ESV. The son of Saul, your enemy who sought your life. The Lord has avenged my Lord, the king, this day on Saul and his offspring. And David says, as the Lord lives, who has redeemed my life out of every adversity, when one told me, behold, Saul is dead, and thought he was bringing good news, I seized him and killed him at Ziklag, which was the reward I gave him for his news. How much more when wicked men have killed a righteous man in his own house, in his bed, shall I not require blood at your hand and destroy you from the earth? And he says they get beheaded, and their heads and hands are hung next to this pool in Hebron. And so he's at Ziklag and now at Hebron. He's not actually in his palace in either of these cases. But it just gave me this thought about it. Here are these one man, two men come into the presence of the king and saying, look what we have done for you. Here is the work of our hands. And he says, your righteousness is as filthy rags. The good that you think you've done, you come in something thinking you've look at the good thing you've done for me, and it's worthless.
Yeah.
He says, didn't we not cast out demons in your name?
Oh gosh.
And he says, depart from me, you workers of iniquity, I never knew you. And it's like how we come, like, hey God, look what I've done for you.
Look what I did.
Here's my offering for you.
Yeah.
And so when you come into the presence of the king, what is the posture of your heart? And so I contrast that. And this is, people don't know this is a timer on the back wall. And I cut right just into the correct time of the sermon. This is a new thing that we've been going through. The first time I preached with a timer.
Yeah.
And so I did cut a lot from the sermon, but this is just one of those things that I kind of, so I saved it for you here on the recap.
Yeah. Hey, bonus content.
Right. And so what is the posture of the heart of Ishbosheth? Ishbosheth, who is in the right, in a sense, potentially in a rightful line of the king. Like he has the royal blood. Yeah. And he doesn't have to come and be like, hey, look what I've done. Look who I am. And he comes not in a posture of, look at the works of my hands. Look what I have done. But in prostrate humility and pleading for mercy before the king.
That's good. So contrasting that approach with Mephibosheth's. So Mephibosheth is called by David. He's like, is there anybody left? Yes, there's this guy. Yeah. They bring him down. And you talk about how in his mind, he's got to be thinking, he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Like, he think I'm a threat to the throne.
Yeah. Perhaps that's what I speculate. I really try to put myself in the story. David has said to Ziba, I want to show kindness to someone. But I think that there's maybe that's a ploy. What is it going to take to get the guy here?
Yeah.
So I think they're just skeptical.
Sure. Now the Ziba guy, how is he connected to, who is he in all this?
He's a servant of Saul. He'd been a servant in Saul's household.
Okay.
And so it would seem perhaps he might have some loyalty to the previous regime.
So he's not working for David actively. He just knows this guy's going to know if there's anybody left. So
yes.
Okay. All right. So he calls on that dude. Mephibosheth shows up and bows down before David.
Yeah.
I'm your servant. Really putting himself in a position of I'm no threat to you. And then you begin to talk about, you call it the bow of mercy, and you talk about the bow of grace. You talk about there's this difference between mercy and grace. So real quick, explain to me the difference again. And do you think it's important for us, and why is it important for us to understand the difference between mercy and grace?
Yeah, so Mephibosheth comes in, and dynastic purging. I didn't know that term before I was doing study for this. So, but if you've watched any sort of feudal system, you see this in modern media. And when you do history, this is a thing that they did. Yeah. So he comes realizing, I called it the stain of Saul. Like he's inherited this, like just as we've inherited the sin of Adam. he's inherited the sin of Saul, just being one of Saul's blood,
Right.
comes in and knows that the culture says he should die.
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes bowing particularly and it's the same word, and it's used twice. Like he bows twice. The first time he bows, I see him looking and pleading for mercy, and David offers him that mercy because it's about what he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And when we need to think about what do we deserve in the court of heaven. And so that's where mercy comes in, because mercy is not getting what we deserve.
I deserve punishment,
Right.
and mercy is I'm not getting the punishment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to teach this to my kids in a way of only on occasion. We would use corporal punishment as my kids were growing up. My youngest child turned 18 yesterday. It was her birthday. I didn't get called. Shout out to Josie. Happy birthday. It was her birthday yesterday. But there's so much else. I was preaching. Annie and Josh, it was like their last Sunday. And so I feel like she got lost in some of it.
Oh, yeah.
But celebrate her. Happy birthday. But we don't do corporal punishment anymore, just to be clear. But when they were younger. And when I could sense true remorse in something that they did, we'd send them to the room, come to the room, and make it clear they understood, like, you know what you did wrong. Yes. And say, what do you think we should do as a result of that? And like, I think I probably should be spanked. And then I would say, I think you're right, but Dad is going to have mercy. And we would withhold the punishment.
Yeah.
And not every time. Then it became like, later they'll be like, when they know that, we get to the situation, like, can you have mercy? Can you have mercy?
Not this time.
Kids start fleeing. But they learned that concept that we rightfully deserved punishment, and yet punishment is withheld. And so we don't get what we deserve.
Yeah. Now, funny with my kids, I did the same thing sometimes. But I said grace. And I'd say, do you want me to show you grace? No, I don't want grace. They didn't know what it was. So I was like, no, you do. You want the grace.
Yeah. And so then grace would be, would you like to go get some ice cream?
Yeah.
It's like, instead of, this is like, you definitely don't deserve a treat right now. You definitely don't deserve something better. And so grace would be then going from that situation to give them something that they don't deserve. Grace is getting what we don't deserve.
I've never thought about it this way. Grace always requires mercy. Mercy doesn't necessarily require. You can have mercy without grace. You can't have grace without mercy.
Correct. Yeah. Grace is the extra step. It's the next step.
Yeah.
Like this is what we talk about, the double imputation.
Yeah.
Our sins put on Jesus, that's mercy.
That's it. So the penal substitutionary atonement is mercy, our sin to Christ, and then the imputed righteousness given to us as if we did it ourselves. Christ's righteousness to us is grace.
Yeah.
So we are treated as if we were as righteous as Christ. We have the inheritance of Christ, the blessings of Christ given to us, even though we didn't do that.
Yeah. The lender, I talked a little bit about that story of the lender in Luke 7. The lender forgiving the debt, that's mercy. If the lender turns around, let me write you another check that you can keep scot-free, that would be grace, right? Just wiping the slate clean, that's mercy.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. In your life, besides the grace that Jesus has offered you, can you think of a time you have received grace from someone?
Yeah.
Not just mercy?
Yeah, there have been 2 times in my and Rachel's life when we were in financial hardships. There have been more than 2 times that we've been in financial hardships. But there have been 2 particular cases where we were in financial hardships. We didn't tell anyone. And people showed up to our door, uninvited, unannounced, and just said, God's laid you on our heart, and here's $500. And those were profoundly impactful for us. Just that God knew we had a need,
Mm-hmm.
And God used somebody else to just show up
Mm-hmm.
and give us money.
Oh yeah.
And that both those times have been profound in our lives.
Yeah.
And so those, I mean, we've had grace in so many other ways. I mean, we get grace on a daily basis, and I think that's all of us do.
Mm-hmm.
And we just look around at our lives and just see, man, a green light, isn't that grace? Like I probably deserve to hit red lights at every stop.
Yeah.
But man, you get a nice green light. Yeah. Man, what a grace is that?
So the one moment I can kind of think of, there's been some of those like you talked about, but this one moment where I had just got married, so just become an in-law, son-in-law, and we're doing my first Christmas with my in-laws, and I have no expectations of gifts or anything, and I've just come in here and taken their daughter and all this stuff, whatever, and I'm opening this little gift, and I think it's gonna be like a little book or something. And it was the Logos software, right? And so I'm like 22 years old or whatever, poor, and for whatever reason, getting this, which was an expensive software, I just started weeping, just like the unexpected grace and charity of someone to do that when you don't expect it.
Yeah,
and so it's impactful when we show grace to people in their life. I mean, it's moving, it's meaningful. It changes them. Yeah. And so, we talk about it changing them. You talk about this lender, right? Forgiving the debt. And that's just the mercy side. And so, Jesus asks, is it Philip or who's
Simon the Pharisee?
Yeah. So he's asking him which one loves more, right? Well, obviously the one that's been forgiven the greater debt. But Jesus tells several parables like that. And the question is always kind of there of, well, what does it say about the guy who's unwilling to forgive? The debtor who goes and doesn't forgive the lesser debt. So what does it say about us if we are Christians? Yeah. We've received the mercy and grace of God, but are a person who is like super judgmental or is just not generous, not gracious, not whatever. What is it? What does that communicate about us if that's who we are, yet we're Christians?
You say we're Christians.
Yeah.
And Christian just means Christ-like.
Uh-huh.
Right? Can you be a Christian and not be Christ-like?
Sometimes.
Yeah. I like to use we talk in our family like, oh, is so-and-so a Christian? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, they profess Christ, mm-hmm. right? Like there's, you and I even profess Christ.
Yeah.
Like hopefully we each have some sort of eternal security and, mm-hmm. and confidence in our faith. But I think if that's what's happening in your life, that you should question. I mean, like there's a point at which it's like, am I who I say I am, mm-hmm. if this is the way I behave? If grace has been extravagantly expressed towards you, if you have this experience of grace and then you turn around and you don't have grace to others, mm-hmm. then
you need to check yourself.
Yeah, you do. Mm-hmm. I mean,
because so you got maybe you're not a Christian thing, but maybe it's the case that you don't understand the depths of your sin.
Exactly.
Or you don't understand how much grace was afforded to you. You
Yeah.
used this line, and I was like, ooh, I did one of the, ooh, when you said this. You said, the Bible knows nothing of grace hoarded.
Yeah.
I like that. And if you are someone who thinks that, you just need a little grace, then it's hard to show grace to other people.
Right.
But when you know the depths of your sin and you know the heights of the grace, then it's like, well, who am I to be mad at you because you offended me or hurt my feelings or whatever?
And I think that's, we use the phrase, and I don't even know who coined the phrase, preach the gospel to yourself every day. Mm-hmm. And where, like, we don't graduate from the gospel. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't move on from mercy.
Yeah.
Like, it is preaching the gospel to us to ourselves every day, from two different angles, right? The one, reminding ourselves the depths that we were in.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't have a problem remembering the depths that they're in. They beat themselves up every day
Mm-hmm.
about how horrible of a person they are.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to be reminded every day of that mercy and the grace of Christ. They need to be reminded of the gospel, that there is no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you got to preach the gospel to yourself every day. But similarly, there are those of us perhaps that forget how horrible of a person we are at our core and our root, and we begin to think too highly of ourselves and need to be reminded that all that we have received from God.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. I tell you, so it's interesting. I was meeting with a buddy recently who has been walking through some struggle, and I mean, the whole time I'm talking to him, I mean, it's just head down, shame, can't look up, don't want to talk, da da da. And eventually, I was like, all right, man, enough's enough. The gospel's true.
Yeah.
Right. Like you clearly understand what you did was wrong, and now it's time to move past that, to believe the grace that you received is true, and lift your head and remember that you're sitting at the King's table, right? Yeah. Which we'll get to in a minute. And so believing the gospel means you don't just walk around like, woe is me, right? And beat yourself up. Like you understand the guilt and the shame and the sin and the consequences, but you also understand the grace. And so there's a tension and a balance between that. But let's talk real quick about the knowing the depths of our sin, because when Mephibosheth comes before David, and David shows him mercy, he says this phrase that he's a dead dog, right? Why do you think he says that? Like, what does he think is going on there, and what does that tell us about ourselves?
Yeah, I think when he uses the term dog, it's pejorative. It's very negative, and in some of our world today, I might want to be treated as well as some people's dogs are treated, right? Not so in that culture. And so not only is he a dog, like eating the scraps from the table, like he's a dead dog. Like nobody gives a care about a dead dog,
right?
In this case. So, I mean, I think that's what he's really trying to do, is bring himself to that point of like
I'm nothing.
Yeah.
And so when we identify with Mephibosheth, like, what does that say about us?
Well, we have the whole narrative. We've got the whole story. So while, yes, we can recognize that we are nothing of our own merit, that we are a child of the King, and Jesus says, I don't call you servants, I call you friends. And so we are friends, brothers with the heir of all creation. So for us, it needs to be recognition of the whole in an instance, so that we don't think too highly of ourselves, we only see the one side of it, or that we think so poorly of ourselves because we don't see the other side of the coin.
That reminds me of a Tim Keller quote. He says that sometimes we think, we're beating ourselves up. Yeah. And we think the solution is, I need to think better of myself. And then some people think really good of themselves, and the solution is, I need to be a little more humble. It says both are wrong. It says the issue isn't to think more highly of yourself or more lowly. The issue is you need to stop thinking about yourself and look to Jesus.
Wow. I like
that. And so, but Mephibosheth, he is humbled before God. And I think you made the point in the sermon that, when we stand before God, like that's our posture. Like we're nothing.
Right.
Right. And it's only God who can lift us up. And so talk a little bit about so David has showed him mercy. He showed him grace. He's lifting him up. He's, all the land that Saul owned has been given to him.
Yep.
And all of his servants are now supposed to go work that land so that he can have the fruit of the labor of that. And you can sit at my table for the rest of your life, right? So grace upon grace, mercy. I'm not going to kill you. And I've given you all this stuff. And so lots of just gospel parallels. Yeah. Talk to me about all or your favorite gospel parallels kind of in that.
Wow. Was in the ladies the encouragers class the other day,
The LOLs.
the LOLs, and we sang a song, and hymn. It wasn't I've got a mansion over the hilltop, but it was one that referred to the mansion, right? And I talked about, I grew up with the King James, and where it says, "In my Father's house there are many mansions," which is weird because you've got a house with mansions
Inside of it.
and more modern translations, "In my Father's house are many rooms."
Yeah.
And so we think about, sometimes we want to be like,
dwelling places.
like
literal.
When I get to heaven, I want that mansion over the hilltop. I want this big palatial estate. Like, would you rather live, mansion after mansion, like, just sprawled out, or would you rather live in the king's house? And so in this case, he gets both. Mephibosheth does. He gets a mansion somewhere. Like, he's got all the land that belonged to Saul, but that's in Benjamin. So, which is a different province in this case. It's like not here in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
But it says, but he if he sits at the king's table, he's not taking a carriage ride from Benjamin every night to come to the king's table. He's got to be living in Jerusalem and with the king.
Do we know if he just stays and lives in Jerusalem forever?
That's the presumption.
Okay.
It doesn't really call that. I mean, like, once you get past chapter 9, there's Mephibosheth's never mentioned again.
Yeah.
And so, but it does say that he eats forever at the king's table.
Yeah.
So the presumption
probably went back and forth, but probably maybe stayed most of his time there.
Yeah. I mean, because he says to Ziba, he's like, you go and you take care of all of his land. But as for Mephibosheth, he's like, he says, all that belong to Saul and to his house I've given to your master's grandson. And you and your sons and your servants shall till the land for him and shall bring in the produce, that your master's grandson may have bread to eat. But Mephibosheth, your master's grandson, shall always eat at my table. And so I have a feeling that he's crippled. He's lame. He's not
travel ready.
Yeah. And so he gets to stay, I presume, in the king's house. He's living with the king. And so that's where we have our eternity is set forth, so that we get to live with the king for eternity. We get to eat at his table.
And you made this point about that from Lo-Debar, which is
no pasture.
Right, but
it was approximately maybe like 70, 80 miles away.
And that's where he was from?
That is not where he was from.
What was the significance of Lo-Debar?
Well, Saul set up his throne, I think, in Gilboa, and so, which I think is in Benjamin. But Lo-Debar is neither in Judah's area of land or Benjamin's area of land. It is like he went somewhere.
Oh, this is where he was in hiding.
That's where he was in hiding.
Gotcha.
So,
that's right.
So he was in Lo-Debar. That says he was actually in the house of Maker and Amiel, which is interesting because when David's on the run from Absalom, he's also provided for by Maker. So for anyone who's getting ready to preach on Absalom in the future, that you make that connection back.
Okay, but hint.
Yeah. Hat tip over there.
Okay. So the point is that, like Mephibosheth, we have gone from a place of no pasture, no resource, no privilege, no grace, no blessing, to the king's table.
Yeah.
And I love that it just worked out that we were doing the Lord's Supper on this Sunday.
I know.
And so in what ways do you just make that parallel between eating at the king's table and the Lord's Supper? Talk to me about that.
Well, I made the parallel yesterday that Mephibosheth never forgets the grace of David, particularly because every night he comes to his table. Chuck Swindoll, somewhere in one of his books, I think Grace Awakening, I saw the illustration, I didn't pull it to use it, but kind of presents this picture of what dinner in David's house looked like, and talking about Absalom and talking about Solomon and these guys, everybody coming to dinner, and then but they don't get started yet because they wait, and it's like you hear the crutches scraping on the floor because Mephibosheth's likely the last one to get there because it takes him more time. But like just talking about him coming and sitting at the king's table and being reminded forever that he's now a son of the king.
He belongs.
Yeah. And how the table covers, like when
that
we're
was
all
good. I like that.
all sitting at the table, like nobody knows that you're lame anymore because your lameness is covered by the table.
Yeah, but it's like that quote that says, where the ground is level at the foot of the cross.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And so and I made that connection, that we are forgetful people. And that's why preach the gospel to yourself daily.
Yeah.
It's like, as oft as you do this, do it in remembrance of me. It's like we have a faith that has this ceremony put in place. We're not prescribed how often to do this. We're trying to do it as a church a little bit more often, a little bit on a more regular schedule. Some churches would do it every week, but it is intended to be a reminder to us. It
is a preaching of the gospel, a means of grace of God. He's given us a few things that we're supposed to do, like baptism, the Lord's Supper, and saying this is a thing to constantly remind us. Well, you brought it up, so let me ask you: in a perfect world with nobody complaining about it, and just you could do whatever you wanted, how often would you want to do the Lord's Supper at that magical church?
I don't have a magic formula.
Okay.
I do recognize that if we did it every week, it would become too routine for them, and it would lose some significance. But I'll be honest with you, I thought that about our giving prayer, which not prescribed. This is not a biblical thing, but I thought it'd be old by now. We just stopped doing it because, like, time to freshen it up.
Yeah, I do think that's interesting. I do think that is the fear about stuff like that, right? That if we just keep doing that, it'll become too mundane.
Yeah.
And my response to people is always, well, if Jesus asked you to lunch every week, would that become old?
No. I mean, and we eat every day.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. So, and I do think, let's parallel the giving prayer real quick, is there are some weeks that I probably just say it pretty. But then there are those times when it's like, I need recentering. Love the hymn line that says, tune my heart to sing your grace, right? Because my heart gets out of tune. And so what things do we regularly put in place? We say, preach the gospel to yourself every day, not once a week, not once a month.
Yeah.
And so I think there can be value in doing it every time we would gather.
And I think similarly where it's like, we're going to preach every week.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes people, a sermon doesn't really hit them, doesn't really matter to them. They fall asleep and not paying attention, or it's like, whatever. Yeah. But we still going to preach next week. Yeah. And then maybe that sermon hits them a little different. Yeah. Right. And so I think you're right about the repetition forms us. And so I think partially the problem is we're looking for like a ooh kind of moment, like a tingly, like I got goosebumps. I got this emotional response to taking the Lord's Supper. And they think, well, if we do it every week, I won't have that. And I think maybe that's not the point of the Lord's Supper.
I agree.
But that it is a deeper thing than some cheap feeling, but a deeper constant reminder for us. So
yeah, I mean,
so I'm tipping my hand about how often I want to do
habits, right? Like how can we be more habitual about things?
Yeah,
and habits aren't formed because you do something once a month, and so I could definitely be on board with a weekly Lord's Supper.
Well, we've moved to monthly, so we're trending in that direction. Maybe one day, maybe one day we'll get there. Okay, so big practical question. You kind of end with this idea of who is your Mephibosheth?
Yeah.
I feel like you gave a lot of application of like, maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe this, maybe this. Yeah. So tell me real quickly. I'm coming away from the sermon. I'm like, okay, I got to find my Mephibosheth. What do I need to be thinking about? Right? Because when you've transitioned, like,
Yeah.
in some ways we identify with Mephibosheth, right? We're the recipients
Yes.
of grace and
Yes.
mercy. But other times, once we've received that grace and
Right.
mercy, now we're in the position of David, in a sense, that we get to show it. And you know, the whole point of your sermon is basically, you had a cuter phrase in this, but, you know, people who have received grace, give grace. And David, you know, you talked about one moment where he got grace, but I also think just the fact that God plucked him out of obscurity, and
I brought you from the pasture,
and
now you're the king.
Right, is a giant grace.
Yeah,
that David recognizes. I wasn't anybody. I was ignored, and now I'm the king. And so he wanted to show grace. So we're in this position now. We've received grace. We want to show grace. How do I think about that?
well, I think it's individual, right? And I think it is when I called out, like, David went looking for a way to show grace. And I think that if we are sincere and we pray about it and say, Lord, where can I show grace today? He's going to show up and give you an opportunity.
It's like, don't pray for patience unless you want to learn to be patient.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, like I said, the Good Samaritan who stumbles across this guy who just falls up and happens to fall into his path. You're like, don't be just waiting for something to come into your path, but how can you be looking? So think about, what are your means of showing grace? And I mean, that's not only financial, right?
You can write a card to someone, encourage someone.
Yeah. There are so many different ways that we can show grace to other people. And like I even said, that part of this could just be forgiving someone that rightly offended you. And it's actually, could be your spouse, right?
Yeah.
Like no one offends us more than our spouses, particularly because we're with our spouses all the time, like our kids. It's like the people you're with the most are the ones that are going to offend you the most, but then they're the ones that you also forgive the most because you're always with each other. So we are constantly, it's like, just forgive each other again for that same offense. That we have that remorse from each other. But so the grace could be in your backyard, and it could be across the globe, right? Like it could be everywhere.
But be intentional. Like, God, how can I show grace to someone?
Yeah. If you are looking for, not just, maybe I should show grace to someone today. Not like, here's a situation that comes up. Yeah. But how are you thinking actively, not passively or reactively?
I'm almost thinking about it this way for the first time. Mercy, you showing mercy is a little bit required of you as a Christian, right? Like, you receive mercy, you must show mercy. Showing grace, maybe not required in the same sense, but it's the natural response.
Yeah.
Like, man, I got to go show somebody some grace.
Yeah. I was Josiah and I met, we're working through a book the other day, and we're just trying to, grace is an outflow, right? It's an overflow of the goodness in our lives. And I try to just connect grace to what we just call good works, right? Like, we're not saved for good works. We're not saved by good works. We're saved for good works. And so what are the good works? What are the good things that you're doing? What is the outflow? What's the overflow of your life? And I just used we talk about faith without works is dead. And I said, good works is like a pulse. It's like you watch a crime drama. They walk into a bodega where somebody's just been shot, and they walk over to it. What are they going to do? They're going to check for a pulse. That's how they know something's alive. Now, the pulse doesn't, the pulse is an evidence that the heart's beating, right? So in our lives as Christians, we take our pulse. Like, if the pulse is your good works, like, the good works aren't what make you alive. Yeah. But if you are alive,
there'll be some good.
There'll be a pulse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There will be some good works.
It's the tree analogy Jesus used. A good tree bears good fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, check your pulse.
Okay, I like that. Now, one of the things that made me think of too is, the New Testament talks about this idea of outdoing one another and showing honor. Yeah. And that's a grace. Yeah. Right. To give someone an honor and to outdo one another is like, you got to be pretty intentional. Right.
It's the only competition we can.
That's right.
We should be able to get
Jesus signs off on. And so maybe that's a way that you can go out of your way and say, hey, who can I show some honor to? Which is not just nicety, right? It's not just platitudes, right? It's
sincerity.
Yeah. And so we could use more of that in our culture, I think. All right. What do you hope people walk away with about God's character from this story?
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, the whole story is just a big picture of the gospel. And so we just understand that God is righteous in his judgment of sin and has not held our sin against us, but has held it against Christ, who took our sin on our behalf. And then who's gone the extra step and not just wiped our slate clean and say, okay, now try harder. And not just wiped our slate clean again and said, try harder.
Yeah.
But has yet given us his Spirit within us. Like the good works that we do are not a result of our great efforts, but as a result of the grace of God within us through the Holy Spirit.
He didn't just forgive us. He actually did the work for us as well.
Yeah. And so just seeing again that picture of the gospel was really the core, and that those who believe the gospel become like the gospel. And so
that's good. So the gospel, or the Bible, knows nothing of grace hoarded,
right.
Only grace lavished. I love that from, I think it's Ephesians 2. He lavishes grace.
Yeah.
He's not looking to hoard it. He's not looking to hold on to it. Dump it out.
Yeah. I use the term reflected, right? That our grace is reflected. So it's, or as we say, our cup runs over, right?
Runneth over.
Yeah. Good old King James, runneth over. And so you just think God continually pouring more and more grace into us. It's not that we have a bottomless cup. Like our cup actually does get filled to the point that it overflows. And so now we have this extra grace that is being poured into us to splash onto others, to share that.
Ooh, I like that splash. Is that grace splashing onto other people?
Yeah.
If not, you need to get more of it. That's good. All right. Any last word?
No. Mephibosheth. What a word.
What a word. Figure out the etymology. Get back to me.
I would love to have been in the room where it happened.
The room where it happened.
And to have heard what was the tone in David's voice.
Was it gentle?
Yeah. When the ESV puts an exclamation point. Mephibosheth exclamation point. And I was wondering if it's like...
That's an interpretive decision.
I know. It's like, Mephibosheth.
Yeah.
It's like, I forgot about you.
Yeah.
And here you are. I don't know. Or just the compassion and love that he had.
Yeah.
Like, you may not remember me, but I remember you. And...
Can you hear God say that to you?
He's like, and you look just like your daddy.
Oh, gosh. That was good.
So it's just such a beautiful story.
It is beautiful.
And I think we should feel the love of God in our lives.
Yeah.
And then
it just also makes it so much more powerful for me. It's like when you realize this is Jonathan, this is his best friend's son, his best friend in the whole world's son. And so there's a tenderness.
It is. Yeah.
You look just like your daddy. That's good. All right. Nathan, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for the recap. We hope this conversation has encouraged you to keep striving to make Jesus essential in every aspect of your life. If you aren't a part of our church family, we'd love to meet you on Sunday morning. We gather for worship at 10:30 a.m. And for more information, you can go to myfellowship.church. Be blessed.